This is bringing back the firing squad electrocution. Right now, the Department of Justice is bringing back the firing squad electrocution and gas asphyxiation as methods of the death penalty for the federal system. Now, the headlines are all, they're bringing back the firing squad, and that's what people are talking about. But as someone who studied the death penalty for more than 10 years now, the real sinister issue here is the gas asphyxiation part, and let me explain. So on background today, Todd Blanche, the Attorney General, announced that they'd be bringing out these former archaic forms of the death penalty. Why? Because lethal injection is not only expensive for the government, but it's also very hard to find the drugs used in a lethal injection death procedure. So now they're going to bring back the firing squad. They're going to bring back electrocution. But something that not many people are talking about is them using gas asphyxiation. It's essentially a modern day gas chamber. It was first used in Alabama in 2024. And what happens when you are executed through this process of gas asphyxiation, you are strapped onto a table, you are strapped into a mask, and you are deprived of oxygen until you die. Nitrogen oxide is pumped into your nose, and you are breathing it in until you no longer have any oxygen. Well, the first execution that occurred using this, the inmate had convulsions, was literally tortured on the table. That should terrify a lot of folks. And as someone, like I said, who studied the death penalty, that is the modern day gas chamber. You're not in an actual gas chamber, but you are strapped onto a table being deprived of oxygen through a gas mask. And that's what the federal government is looking to do. Spread the word, follow for more.
Revelation chapter 12, verse 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. Shalom, shalom. Before I begin this lesson, I want to give all praise, honor, and the glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles, bishop, and elders of Great Millstone that rule well, and peace and blessing be multiplied on all you brethren teaching this word in our sincerity and in truth. Shalom to the elect, 144,000, and the rest of the elect out there, shalom. I'm the brother Dama Agabar, here with another lesson, Lord willing to edify through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Yahweh Shai. All right, as you can see, I just played that short clip, and I think that clip was from a while back, I think like later last year, 2025. But I remember, there were talks of Trump saying he wanted to bring back the firing squad. And as you can see, as that guy was mentioning, not only that, they want to bring back electrocutions. They want to bring back the gas chamber, death by asphyxiation, because ultimately, hey, these devils are getting ready to go all out, seeing that they have but a short time to bring in this NWO. And remember, these devils are in the spirit of really coming up against, those that are speaking the truth, coming up against what they like to call dissenters. This is why they're, let's not forget, they've built all of these concentration camps, these FEMA camps, these detention centers. And, believe you me, the day is going to come to where, all of these forms of a summary execution and capital punishment are going to be greenlit in these detention centers, especially when all hell breaks loose, when there's, sedition, uprising against the government, when they're going to have to implement martial law eventually, when the American citizens and these people here in Babylon eventually go ape shit and lose it, and there's just nothing but chaos and anarchy on the streets. You must believe, in order for them to bring back, order, in order for them to, to bring some so-called peace, and basically when it's time for them to come down with an iron fist, and when they allow, this devil to come down with great wrath, that a lot of people that are going to be grabbed up and thrown in these detention centers and, in these alligator Alcatrazes, in these different facilities, when this society takes a turn for the worse, that you're going to have capital punishment at an all-time high. You're going to have a lot of people getting disappeared, a lot of people, going into these facilities and never making it back home again. And ultimately, they're going to be able to use this as a way to, depop a lot of you undesirables. Remember, they still have that red, blue, and yellow list. I remember Elder Apostle Gabar bringing that out many years ago, that, these devils are going to, implement that when they bring in the great culling. And what easier way to cull a lot of you useless eaters, a lot of you goy, a lot of you dissenters, a lot of, even this even applies to the prophets and the men of the Lord, to get rid of us is by these capital punishments, you see? And this is why they're bringing it back. They want to bring back a lot of these capital punishment and these death penalties, is so that, that not only, can they get rid of a lot of you undesirable people, but they can use this as a way to strike fear into the hearts of you people, man. To get you to be more obedient and to bow down. And I believe, they're going to be threatening a lot of people with these things, to deceive you into taking the micro-CHIP when that time comes. But as you can see, hey, man, we have to understand that this is why we got to stay prayed up. This is why we got to be circumspect. This is why we got to be ready, because things of this nature will be eventually on the table, and these things will be greenlit, when all hell breaks loose. But I found this article from The Guardian. It says, death by firing squad, archaic method on the rise in the U.S. as Idaho opens new execution chamber. You see, so Idaho, I think, is the first state to allow this type of a summary execution and firing squad. You see, but it says what? It's on the rise in the U.S. because eventually, more states are going to want to have this at their disposal to basically, especially when you have, overcrowding of the prisons, when these detention centers get filled, when they're running out of space, when, there's too many heads inside of these facilities. What would be the best way to get rid of a lot of people is by measures like these, or putting your head in a guillotine, or just putting people in a 20 people in a room strapped down and giving them gas chamber type of executions, man. You see, and we can't put none of this past this devil, man, because we ultimately understand that this is the devil that we're dealing with. You see, so let's read some of this. It says, the tangled path of U.S. capital punishment takes a new turn on Wednesday as Idaho becomes the first state to adopt the firing squad as its primary form of execution, embracing the brutal killing technique even as concerns grow that it can inflict excruciating pain and suffering. The states, remember, we're dealing with Esau Edom here. This is a man who doesn't mind shedding blood, who doesn't mind, spilling blood, or especially, coming up against those as they deem their enemies. You see? And they wouldn't bat an eyelash doing this to you American citizens. They already showed you a little bit of that with the whole ICE situation. How they, were just locking people up. They was just grabbing up non-criminals. A lot of people that went to those ICE detention centers ain't never been seen again. There's still a lot of people that are missing. Still a lot of people that suffered terrible deletions in those facilities. A lot of people got deported to places to where their families never heard from them again. Oh, remember, you had a lot of bodies washing up, I think I forgot where. I don't know if it was here in America or in Mexico or somewhere. You had a lot of prisoners washing up, shackled with their hands and feet. You see? So you don't think, hey, if this man, that cruel Lord Trump, if he's angry enough and there's enough chaos and calamity happen in this society that they won't implement martial law and implement these type of summary executions and capital punishments upon you people? Come on, man. Hey, you better wake up, man. It says the state's Department of Corrections says it has met its deadline and set by the legislator to have its death chamber at a maximum security prison south of Boise retrofitted and open for business by the 1st of July. It has spent more than $1 million in the venture, including $24,000 on a rack of AR-style 308 caliber scope rifles that will be wielded by volunteer marksmen. You see, and pretty soon, instead of having marksmen do it and having humans, eventually they'll just get these humanoid robots to carry out these executions, man. That'll be their duty, to just line up these executioner robots to just send you people back to the spirit world. They won't have no emotions. They won't lose any sleep. They won't bring any nightmares. They won't feel like they're, violating, their fellow man. They'll just be there to carry out their orders, man, and to get rid of you people. It says the firing squad, long considered archaic and bloody, is on the rise across the U.S. as states seek new approaches to capital punishment. Idaho becomes the seventh state to include it among its roster of execution methods, with a larger number of jurisdictions now allowing judicial killings by gunfire than at any time in U.S. history. You see, and this reminds me of Ezekiel 21st chapter, where it's talking about that sword. A sword is being sharpened. You see, and this is going to be a part of that sword as well. And you know, pretty soon they ain't gonna have no problems blowing away you so-called rowdy Negroes, man. You know, when you chimp out, you know, when all hell breaks loose, this is how a lot of you are gonna meet your end in one of these detention centers. All right, they're just gonna eventually just find you guilty of chimping out, find you guilty of just being a damn nuisance, an un-American citizen, for dissident, and pretty soon this will be the judgment for dissidents. You know, when things get bad enough out here. You see, and you can't put it past this damn devil, man. All right, let me get this. This is Isaiah chapter 19, verse 4, and it says, "And the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts." And who is that cruel Lord? Trump. Remember, this is something that he was talking about bringing back, and he don't have no problem bringing it back, man. Especially upon you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. He already brought in ICE to snatch you up and grab you up and deport you out of this country. Men, women, and children, man. And remember, you had ICE send some people back to the spirit world. How much more when, you know, things are really chaotic and things are really, and the shit is really hitting the fan. I can see that cruel Lord giving these individuals the green light to execute on sight, man. I'm giving ICE, you know, the ability to execute on sight any dissenters, any rioters, you know, any un-American activity will be met with brutal lethal force. I'm giving them the green light, you know. So y'all better stop playing this. Hey, this is why you better get prayed up. You better get in the right, better get yourself right, man, because hey, these things are coming. That sword is being sharpened, man. It says, with large number of jurisdictions now allowing judicial killings by gunfire than at any time in U.S. history. But despite insistence by supporters that the method is foolproof, alarm bells are sounding that the rapidly proliferating technique has the ability to go grotesquely wrong. Of the quartet of firing squad executions carried out in the U.S. since 2010, 2 appear to have been botched, with bullets veering from their intended target of the left ventricle of the heart and causing prolonged and agonizing death. You see? It says, expert forensic analysis have also raised allegations in the U.S. Supreme Court filings that the blunders may have been intentionally inflicted as a form of retributive punishment. The chilling claim, and this is why eventually they'll just get robots to do it, because the robots won't miss. It won't be any personal or vendetta with the robot or the humanoid or that phantom. He'll just you know, line up the shot and just hit you right in the heart with pinpoint accuracy. Boom, bam, there you go. It's done. You see? Because you got to think they might have some of these you know, clans, some of these maggers who might end up being volunteers to execute, and it might be a Jake, and they might, you know, might shoot him in the kneecap on purpose or miss just to inflict more pain so that he could, you know, bring a more horrible and show his hatred toward whoever he's executing. So it would just make sense for them to eventually just to get the AI to carry out these executions, you know? It says the chilling claim, speculative though it is, has the potential to cast a pall over the entire firing squad project. Under Idaho's new death protocol, the identities of the 3 shooters who have volunteered to join the firing squad are known only to the state prison director and deputy. It says they will be responsible for carrying out court-ordered killings of Idaho 8 death row inmates, one of whom is female. The department will be prepared to carry out an execution order after July 1st, said in a statement. It added that its procedures were designed to ensure that any execution is conducted in a secure, orderly, and dignified manner. Idaho switched procedures after lethal injection, the method most commonly used in modern America, ran into difficulties. In February 24, the state had to call off mid-flow the execution of the convicted murderer Thomas Creech after a medical team failed to establish an IV line. Yeah, just like the guy said in the video, you know, the guy was going into convulsions and shit. They fucked up. But hey, with these rifles and these weapons being fired at him, hey, as long as you shoot accurately, hey, this guy can be out of there. You see? It says other states have been similarly plagued by botched lethal injections, exacerbated by an international boycott of medical supplies using the procedure. Seeking an alternative, Alabama took up nitrogen gas asphyxiation, but earlier this month that grounded to a halt too when federal courts declared it unconstitutional. What else? It says there are no impediment to acquiring rifles in the U.S. and 5 states that have firing squads among their possible protocols: Idaho, Mississippi, Oklahoma, South Carolina, and Utah, plus Florida and Tennessee, which could also theoretically access the firing squad if other methods fail, claim it is so close to flawless. Yep. The condemned prisoner is strapped into a chair to ensure immobility and a black hood placed over their head. A target is then pinned directly over the left ventricle of the heart and the body's main circulatory pump, which sends blood to the brain. When a rifle's bullet penetrates the left ventricle of the heart, blood stops flowing and the brain shuts down within seconds. Death is instantaneous. The system is foolproof, advocates contend. Yeah. Yep, there have been 147 executions of civilian prisoners by the gun since Jamestown, and of those, several have fallen short of foolproof. In 1879, Wallace Wilkerson took 27 minutes to die after the marksman shot him above the heart and in the left arm. Oh my God, they have missed," he screamed as he writhed in the dirt. Oh, shit. It says, it appears the misses were intentional, blah, blah, blah. But, hey, whatever the case might be, man, hey, the whole point of this is that, hey, these devils are getting ready to come down with a great wrath, man. Hey, and this is the type of shit these devils are going to have on the table to ultimately get rid of a lot of you undesirables, man. And this man is definitely getting ready to come down with great wrath, man, because he sees that he has but a short time. All right, this is Revelations 2:10. It says, "Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison that you may be tried." You see? And we know ultimately we're going to be tried with that MOTB, which is the mark of the beast. Hey, but at the same time, too, hey, these devils might lock you up and might use the fear tactics of execution by whatever method that they seem fit. They might use that to threaten you or tell you if you just take the MOTB, hey, we'll let you out of here. So we'll let you out scot-free. You know, we'll stop your so-called execution as long as you just, take this micro C-hip, man. It says that you may be tried, and you shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. You see? Because, hey, some of us are going to have to be faithful even unto death and have to die the death of martyrs, man. And you better believe when they lock up, the prophets and the men of the Lord, this is probably going to be the only option they're going to offer some of us, man. Because they're going to know pretty much that, look, these guys are not going to sell out. These guys are not going to take the micro C-hip. They're not going to, deviate from their true faith in the Messiah. So, just take that guy out. Send him back to the spirit world, man. And it's going to be what it's going to be. If that's the case, then, hey, we're going to have to take those deaths. But the point being is that, hey, you see the vibration and you see the spirit that these devils are in. And don't just think because it's only in Idaho that this thing, that these capital punishment can't be, under certain executive orders be immediately implemented, because that's very well possible, man. And like I said, they ain't built all these detention centers and building all these ICE facilities for nothing, man, because a lot of this stuff will take place eventually inside of those things, man. So, hey, man, this is some major shit here, and it just shows you, that this is just opening the door for this to become eventually, nationwide, statewide, man, if the right circumstances, present themselves. So, hey, it's gonna be what it's gonna be, man. But hey, man, so again, that's why we gotta stay prayed up. That's why we gotta continue to get right with Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, because these things are coming, and this devil is just about ready to take it there, man. So with that, Lord willing, this is edifying. All praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah HaKodash. All right, Lord willing, you're edified. To the next one, shalom.